So we're back pretty close to where we started now. This is the Kenny Dalglish stand. I'm walking towards Stanley Park to go to Everton. Have a look at these. These are the heating lamps that they use on the field. Look at the old terrace houses behind them. Pretty much every place I've seen while I've been over here with shingled roofs. That's a bit of a luxury for us to have a shingled roof. It's a bit bespoke. It's very commonplace here, but I mean, these are old. Yep. So this is the Kenny Dalglish stand. So this is a bit of a memorial to the 39 supporters who died at Heysel. Very different to the Hillsborough. Yeah, so they're your heating lamps. A couple of big fans to dry the pitch, no doubt. And this is where we started at the gates. The Kenny Dalglish stand. So now heading across the park to have a look at Goodison Park. These are the Bill Shankly gates. This is the opposite end to the cop stand. This is so the cop is where the goal is, and this is the other goal. This is Stanley Park. On our way through. Weather's starting to turn. A bit cool, a bit cloudy. Nice day for a game of soccer. So leaving Liverpool now, the ground anyway. And heading towards Goodison Park. Through Stanley Park. Tell you what, I've been in here for 2 minutes, but it's a nice park. Just a nice bit of green space in the north of Liverpool. Lovely old rotundas here, absolutely beautiful. What a gorgeous old park this is. Glad it's not sunny. I prefer it on a day like this. This is a lovely place. Wondering which way is the way to go. Might go this way. Let's look at the map. Doesn't really matter. If I go this way, I'll come out on Priory Road. Let's go this way. So there's a lot of little pathways that you can go. There's those rotundas, they look sensational. I'll have to look up the history of this park. I'm very impressed. So it is a Sunday, not much activity in the park. So there's a little toilet block or something down there with two little murals, one blue, one red, Everton badge that I can see, and no doubt it's like the Liverpool one, sorry, the Manchester one. It says something like "We are Manchester." So there's a good shot of Anfield from the park. Towers, absolutely towers. It is just the start of autumn here. I can only imagine what winter here is like. It's cold and grey and blustery and ground's wet, so it's, you know, been showers and whatnot, but it must be freezing. What's the best way to Goodison from here?
The original Goodison. Yeah,
Just keep going?
Yeah, it's basically to get your bearings.
I can see it. I know it's there.
Yeah, just trying to think about this path. There's a bridge that you needed to be on that bottom road, really, the bottom path.
Right.
So there's bridges you can cross back over.
Yep.
And it'll take you to that corner.
So go there or here?
Probably just along here somewhere, I think.
Okay. That sounds good.
Probably see a bridge takes you over.
Righto. Thank you.
That's great.
There it is in the distance. This. Thank you. Nice bridge. Nice park. Really like this park. Campers, might be scouts. I doubt this would ever dry. Get up your rubbish, you dirty bastard. Camping on the wet ground. Oh, here we go. A lot of algae in the ponds. Very picturesque park. Quite nice, I like this. So Goodison Park, the original home ground. Well, actually Anfield was the original home ground of Everton until they gave it to Liverpool, and there's a plaque inside the museum about that. So this is, for all intents and purposes, Everton's traditional home ground, and they have now moved to where I was yesterday, which was Bramley Dock. Look at that, that's very nice. That's nice, I like that. That's, I don't know if there's another entrance to the park or not because there's a roadway that goes through it, but anyway. So this is Goodison Park. So they were one of the original Football League founders. I don't have any dates. I'm not that up on my history of English soccer. But yeah, Goodison Park. I didn't know there was this main road here. I thought it was just residential. But there you go, that's what you learn when you're out and about. So there is a women's match on here today, which they were advertising on the big screens yesterday. Match day parking for it. The COYB, come on you Blues, is what that acronym stands for. I'm going to go around the ground with this one, take some photos. Won't be able to go in. Haven't not booked a tour or anything like that. It starts to rain. But I just want to have a look at the outside of the ground. It's good that there's a game on, actually. It adds something to it. So you can see this ground from Anfield. So TV vans and also the big heat lamps for the pitch. Goodison Park. Now it says the home of Everton women, which is true. So this is really backed onto residential, as one side of Anfield was and two sides of Anfield were. I'll keep under here, try and keep out of the rain. It's a very old traditional part of England up here. Football League founders. Don't know the age of the ground, but she's old. $78,000. It's a record attendance in 1948. So I like how they've got the history around the ground. I really like that. So Dixie Dean seems to be a name that crops up a lot when you're talking about Everton. 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 Hope the rain stops. But again, this would be another ground that would be absolutely heaving on game day. So Everton, from my understanding, were founded or certainly financed by the people who owned Littlewoods. I don't know much about Littlewoods, but I think they did the pools. Bullens Road. I think this may be the main drag for the football stadium. You could just imagine living here on game day. So I'm going to turn the camera off for a second so I can get the umbrella out. So we're back on tour. Umbrella up. I've just ducked into that little enclave there, which is quite handy. So if I was to do a tour, today would have been the only day that I actually could have done it. So it's quite fortuitous that there's a game on and I actually physically can't do a tour. So have a look at this, the ground ends there and then we've got this. I don't know if that's residential or it doesn't look like a church. Well, it may be a church, not sure. Anyway, then it just goes on to this. Amazing the way that they design these old stadiums. I'm sure that would have been there before the ground was. So William Hill, the betting agency. So all these shops, everywhere I've been to, they've got pulled down shutters on them. And just here, right in the middle of residential, auto parts, or auto works. So it's all residential around here. So that's the problem with these old grounds, is that because they were built right in the middle of residential areas, you can't expand them, you can't really do anything with them. Just taking a few still photos while I'm here. It's actually not a bad opportunity for a photo. Let's go and see what the statue is. So that does look like a church. There's a blue plaque on it, so I'm going to have a look at that in a second. It's called St. Luke's. Umbrellas going all over the place. So there's a plaque there, the Everton Football Club. I'm going to take a picture of that. So they say football is a religion, and having a church right next to the football ground kind of serves testimony to that statement. But you can see the ground from every residential approach. Look at that, look, there's old advertisements on the side of that old house there. Brilliant. So I think in a lot of pictures I've seen of an approach to Goodison, the one that I'm about to do when I turn around is probably one of the most famous, simply because the badge is there on the blue background. So that should look quite good. And there it is. Probably a bit more dramatic as you go further down, we'll see. But you can see why these clubs move to newer grounds. They're just locked in by residential. You've got no parking for anyone. The residents get the shits. You can't expand the stadiums, so you can't make money with your corporates and everything else, and two-level superstores and the like. So you can really see why they move. Loftus Road is another good example of that. But there it is, that's a pretty dramatic sight as you're walking up the road. That's a good shot. So game day, you and all your mates walking down here towards Goodison with your shirt on. Or maybe you're sitting at home watching it on your Murdoch satellite. The thing about Saturday games is that they don't broadcast by law. I don't know if it's law, it's certainly a Premier League rule that you can't broadcast the 3 o'clock game. I know that for sure. I don't know if it's the rest of the games in the night. There is an 8 o'clock game, but definitely the 3 o'clocker. You can't broadcast that. Oh, the umbrella's about to go. So I don't know what time the women's game kicks off, but there's not much activity around. Not making any statement on women's football. Depends on what time it starts, I guess. So that was Neston Street. All right, like the VIP entrance. That will go up to your lounges and your suites, I would imagine. They've really rebranded this as the ground for Everton women now. So coming up this street, they've strategically placed that there, which is fair enough. Good marketing. This is the Lord Winslow Hotel. A few plaques on the wall there, quite nice. Home sweet home. Welcome Bramley Moor. And another one at the end of the street. Well branded. So what do I have to do for the rest of the day? I'm going into town to go to a Beatles museum. There's 2 of them, there's probably more of them, but there's 2 major ones in Liverpool itself. After I found a hard drive, so I can download some photos off the phone. Goodison Park becomes the home of Everton Women, the biggest dedicated women's stadium in the country. So that's an honour. Can I ask these fellas for a photo? So it's lucky I have no shame asking people to take photos for me. Quite happy to do that. And they're quite happy to oblige, actually. No one's knocked me back. There you go, Goodison. music's starting to play. This would have been heaving back in the day. One more picture. So the rise of women's football, or the rise of women's sport in general, has been quite meteoric, supported by the media companies who pay for the rights, and that's all well and good. But I think that the Women's Super League in England is quite a big deal.